This is the Zone Football League.
Welcome back to another episode of the Zone In podcast, where we talk everything Zone Football League across Newcastle. As always, I'm Mason, and joining me tonight is Wilso. How are you?
I'm good now. I've been crook all weekend.
Yeah, you were saying that before. Yeah,
struggled to get out of bed. I had to go to the Eagles on Saturday, but I wasn't much help there. I was just but I'm feeling good now. You know, seeing your face always gives me a bit of a lift.
Well,
see what you've done to yourself in the way of looks. No, I feel good. I feel much better, and yeah, it's good to be here.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm forever giving you compliments. But,
yeah, well, look.
Sometimes, something come back the other way, it'd be nice, but as much as I'm confident, it's still nice to hear these things.
We are looking quite dapper for your age,
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll do.
Jumping into the football of the weekend that was, not a scheduled round per se. It was the washout round, but we did retitle it as the men's mental health round, as we did have our match of the round, which was involved and partnered with Talk to Me Bro for men's mental health. Not a lot of games that got played on the weekend, but 6 across the 3 grades. And we'll start off with the sole ZFL 2 game that did get played, which was also the match of the round, Crowders Bay United versus Southern United. And Crowders Bay only just getting the win 2-1 over Southern United there. Yeah,
as I was saying, I was a bit crook, so I couldn't do the call. But I spoke to CT, and Cam was a great call. He's improving. Doesn't need to improve, but I thought it was a terrific call. Super exciting.
Definitely, yeah.
Super exciting last 10, 11 minutes, and
for sure.
I thought he captured it really well. And I think CT was crook as well, so he was just like, dull in comparison, but that's not I'm not putting you down there, CT, but he was crook as well. But I thought Cam really captured that last 11 minutes because it was a really even game, and and when Southern United went in front, I was watching it, it was like this eruption, it was almost like it was their home game. It was so loud on the TV, on the coverage on Bar TV, and
I can confirm they did actually have a travelling support there. So shout out to you guys coming all the way from Foster.
It was a really big eruption, and with 11 minutes to go, and Whiteman, who was it was good all day, and he's played in Newcastle, quite a long time ago, ironically with under CT at Lake Macquarie.
Okay.
So I think when they scored, and you could hear through the coverage, it was just, come on boys, let's lift again. And it's not like they were surprised to be in front, but to be in front away from home against the leaders, the unbeaten leaders, with 11 minutes to go, I think they thought, well, at least we're taking a point away here.
Yeah,
at the very
and
least.
For so late in the game as well, not only just to break the deadlock, but it was almost just eerie, the whole waiting. The longer it went, the uncertainty was unraveling. As you say, Whiteman, who, may I add, is a beast of a man.
He's a beast.
I don't know if it's
I didn't recognise him, but I knew how big he was.
Yeah.
I said to CT, who was that? And then that's when he explained to me the whole situation, that he coached him years ago, and he had 1 year down here.
Yeah.
But you're right.
I think the combination of the height, the clean shave head, the mustache, everything. Just if I was a defender trying to mark that man out of a game, I would be terrified.
Yeah.
And to his credit as well, he's not unfamiliar to bagging a goal. He is quite up there in the leading goal scorer for ZFL 2.
Yeah.
I guess Southern obviously excited for it, but knowing that their target man has done his job and almost got them the 3 points.
It was a good goal. It was well worked down the right-hand side, and the exact words of Ken were, there was a little shimmy in there.
Yeah.
Just a nice little drop of the shoulder, and a beautiful little ball down the right channel.
Definitely you could see he got the best of a tired defense.
It was
in the game.
It was a lovely little shimmy, but the ball was perfect in between 2 defenders, and the cross was really good, and just a terrific finish. And Yeah, and the crowd erupted, and 1-0 down with 11 to go. You know, Bailey, what was he thinking?
Well, it would have been probably good of me to ring him up and see, but unfortunately I didn't do that today. But you obviously, as a mate of Wayne's, he would have. I feel like he also knowing him, he would have been calm about it, but
I
under
think
the
so.
surface, a bit nervous.
It's probably the first time that late in a game.
Well,
They would have been, 11, 12, maybe 13 minutes to go to chase the game. They wouldn't have panicked. They still had, I think Daniel McBreen was off by that time, but the players still out there. They would have been confident. They were in the game. It was a really good match.
Yeah, probably wouldn't have helped either with Chris Bailey just chirping in his ear just behind him, trying to give him tips as well.
But I mean, they were never going to go away, and they got a free kick, and they didn't deal with that, and then it come back in. It was a pretty good finish. I think it was through some numbers in the middle of the
it was whether Sullivan, who the goal scorer, meant to do this or not, but it was almost he's chipped everyone over the box, including the keeper.
I feel like he couldn't have meant it.
It's a risky thing.
I thought it was a deflection. I thought it was a deflection at first, but they celebrated hard, and with 89 minutes gone, you're thinking, well, safe to say that maybe a point's enough. It holds their unbeaten record in place, but
and you saw the difference in half the team, half the boys celebrating with Sullivan. You see a couple of the boys running to get that ball out of the goal, still with that drive to win the game. There's still a couple of minutes only left, but we can make a difference, and that they did with later substitute Luke Muller. Only being on the pitch for 20 minutes, but ending up being the man of the match as well, Harry Schnitzel. But
very, very decent 20 minutes, that's for sure. But in that moment, we're looking at around the 90th minute. Southern United had the ball in the back in Crowder Space back third. I think. They lost it in the right channel there, tried to move inside, and then with one ball in behind, it was a beautiful ball.
Do you reckon that was a clearance from the defender or a calculated through ball to Muller?
I don't know. I think he got it on the outside of the right back. He found the passing lane. It was a great run from Muller. He just stayed outside the lane, and the ball went on a nice little straight ball with a little bit of curve. That don't make sense, does it? But there's a little bit of
I know what you mean.
Late curve on it. It just got away from the defender, and Muller, who just over the first 5 metres, he got in front of him, and it was almost like the defender was chasing him all the way in. And you're thinking, when's the keeper going to come, or is he? And he just didn't. You know, and he ended up finishing it beautifully on the 6-yard box, but
just tucking it in that near post.
Maybe the keeper could have come out just to close it a little bit, but it sort of happened so quickly. But it was, I mean, I'd like to think the ball was meant. I thought it was. I thought it was a terrific ball, and the finish was quality, like under pressure, 91st minute. It was a terrific finish.
And
they celebrated hard.
Luke as well, he in his post-match interview with CT when he received his Man of the Match award, saying that he only just got back from overseas 2 or 3 weeks ago. So to be thrown straight back into first grade, let alone a Crabs outfit that are going so well at the moment. He's got a lot of, you'd have to think, a lot of pressure being subbed on to be the man to make a difference.
And he's gone on and man of the match. I'd say CT might have fallen asleep for 60 minutes or so. He just woke up and Muller's just dynamite for 20 minutes and he's giving him the man of the match. But, I'll have to watch it back, but I mean, it's a dynamic 20 minutes, and but he's the worthy winner of the Harry Schnitzel's Man of the Match, and
for sure,
get yourself down to Harry's and get that beautiful.
And I'm not sure where he has been overseas for the last year or so, but I'm sure one thing he would have been craving while he's over there is a good Aussie snitty.
Well, he's got a nice $25 to spend there.
Now he's got it. That's it.
But well done to Luke. And well done to the Crabs.
As you mentioned, the unbeaten run still intact, still top of the table there. Unfortunately, that loss for Southern United does drop them from 3rd to 4th. Bulwarra just getting above them, but Yeah, it just shows how tight
it was a big game for Southern United.
Yeah.
It was always going to be big coming down. It was great they brought their fans down, and they're 11 minutes away from probably the biggest upset of the season, really, when you're in the context of Crowders Bay being unbeaten.
Yeah, an upset of what could have been.
Yes, and they weren't far off it. And
No.
I think they'll take a lot of good out of the game. They'll take a lot of positives and they'll work on that for semi-finals, and obviously I think they'll get there. But yeah, Crowders Bay, they just found a way to win, and that's what the good teams do, and the teams that are on
100%.
top, and they'll know that they nearly lost that one, and that'll give them a little kick in the butt as well to go, you know what, that was close.
For sure. Maybe Wayne even raising his voice a little bit after the game.
I doubt it.
But as we mentioned as well, the Crowders Bay partnering with Talk to Me Bro, couple interviews with player and spokesperson for Talk to Me Bro, Brad, with CT. So we'll be putting those little clips up on our social media as well, just to have a look at if you're scrolling through. And if we're big supporters of Talk to Me Bro and for men's mental health in this league especially.
Doing some wonderful things, Talk to Me Bro, over the last few years in particular. I know Luke as well has been heavily involved. It's terrific. Get out there and, for the guys out there, you need to talk. And it's just, there's a terrific concept, and great for ZFL to get on board with that. It's really important. In this day and age, we just need to keep talking.
Exactly, and we hope that we can do more going forward, especially next year with Talk to Me Bro. But you mentioned as well Southern nearly getting the upset over Crowders Bay. But as we look into now the results of 2 games from Zone Football League 1, we do see two upsets. The first one coming from Warners Bay versus Warners Bay versus the Uni. The students going down 2-1 to Warners Bay. This putting Warners Bay from 9th into 7th, not affecting Uni's position in 4th, but that far of a gap between 2 competing teams. Uni probably would have thought it may have been comfortable, but
I think so. I think they were, their form has been good.
Yeah,
they're in a very hot competition to be sitting 4th. You're among some very good teams in that top 4, and they have every right to be there. So they've taken the eye off the prize a little there, and I think they thought the 3 points were there, but they've had to travel over to the lake, and it's Warners Bay. They're I watched them against Azuri, and I think it was when was the man that against Olympic? And they went down there.
Still showed some glimpses.
Yeah, there's some glimpses there, enough there, but not enough to tip them to beat the students. There's no way in the world I would have tipped.
Well,
Warners Bay.
You've got to assume being Uni Holidays asked the question of who was maybe missing from the Uni outfit, but still.
I mean, that'd be making excuses for them, and that's probably. That's probably relevant, I guess, at this time of the year for them. But that would be taking, let's not take anything away from Warners Bay. It's a massive win.
Yeah.
Puts them, in a position where they could, if they get on a run.
Just outside of the top 5.
Yeah. So it does that for them, but it also moves them away from the danger zone as well. And that would have been their first priority over the last couple of weeks. Now they can look forward to, obviously being buoyed by that result to a point where they could, push for the top 5.
Just sneak in, and a team that they may have been trying to chase, Newcastle Olympic, who have moved from 6th to 5th after a astonishing 5-2 win over second place Newcastle Suns.
Yeah, it's a big one. We've looked at it. Newcastle Olympic a couple of times this year against the students and against Warners Bay, and with their roster and with some of their players, we were talking about some good former NPL players that are still well in that age group that's still very relevant. So it's still an upset. I mean, they probably probably performed to the standard that we were expecting from them now. Then maybe they're starting to move right into that right direction, and they're getting into the top 5. But it's still, that's a stunning result over the Suns, and it would definitely put shockwaves through. Where the Suns are sitting. For
sure. And from memory, the only other team and the only other time to have put that many goals past the Suns' defence was the Croatia 6-0. Obviously, Olympics' defence still letting 2 goals in, but questions about Suns there. Was it just an off day? Were they missing players maybe? But something's happened there. Yeah, no, I think Gaza Voroday will be very concerned. It doesn't matter, who you play. If the other week they leaked 6, and I know they've been good since then, but to leak another 5, then one's a you're a little bit concerned, but you can say it's an off day. But when that's 11 in 2 games, there'd be definitely some worries there. Yeah. For sure. And thankfully, the Suns would be thinking, thankfully, it doesn't affect their position in the ladder. Also with still, I think, 1 or 2 games in hand. So they're still sitting pretty, and when they're good, it's definitely lucky for them. Yeah, when the Suns are good, they're very good. Exactly. But I think when they're off, they're beatable, and they're beatable by anybody. But there seems to be a discrepancy there. Like from their best to their worst, and they need to close that gap up just to make sure that at the very least they run in the top 2. For sure. And looking then to Zone 3, Curry took on Charlestown. A very tight affair there. Curry getting the win 3-2 over Charlestown, both of them keeping their respective positions 2nd and 6th on the ladder. But Charlestown making maybe a late-ish in the season comeback now. Yeah, more goals for Curry. They've scored 3. I know they've conceded 2, but they hold their position in 2nd. Charlestown I've just been watching them from afar. They're just teetering, aren't they? They're not dropping. They're not moving. They're in that central part in the middle corridor of the table. It might have been one that they've been hoping to get a point out of, but I think they'll take a lot out of that one as well. And again, it's that tight through there in the ZFL 3 through that section of the table that a couple of wins, and I think that kind of form there shows that they're moving in the right direction. For sure, and only being 1 spot outside of that top 5 to only lose a game against 2nd by 1 goal. Definitely, I think if there's any positives to take out of it, that you've got to be looking there. I think they'll take plenty of positives. 2 goals against the team running 2nd. They're the team, Curry, that have pushed Greta the most, and they're right there. But Curry will go away from it. They'll be happy. They hold their place. But I think Charlestown will, they'll take a lot from that result, and they need to. They need to be positive leading into the last half of the season, and it's there. Again, it's there for them if they want to take it. Yeah, for sure. And speaking of teams pushing Greta, Southern Lakes pushing. Almost getting points, but unfortunately going down 2-1 to Greta. Both, again, keeping their position in the ladder 1st and 5th, respectfully there. Previous results you see from Greta, they're high-scoring games, normally one-sided for them. So maybe Greta's attack taking it easy on the day, maybe Southern just wrapped them up. Yeah, I think Southern would have probably went there with a plan. They're sitting 5th. If they get a point away from home, they would have been absolutely ecstatic. They've gone very close. They're leaving Greta without the points, but their pride's intact and they're still sitting in 5th. Greta, you're going to have highs and lulls, and they're still running along well. They're leading the competition. It's a win. They'll just see it as another win, another little tick, another little green tick. Realistically, no matter how the result comes about, 3 points is 3 points at the end of the day, and you move on to the next. And in all competitions, as it goes on,
it starts to just narrow up, and the teams start to get better. They still start to find a way. Teams that might have been struggling early might have picked up a couple of players. They start to find their rhythm, and again, there's injuries, there's illness, there's absentees. So there's so many variables that come in from this time onwards to the semi-finals. And that's not taking anything away from Southern Lakes United, but there's always some variables. But Greeter got the job done.
And they're sitting quite comfortably ahead of Curry with a fair few points up their sleeve. So they'd be thinking as long as they keep getting a point, even better 3 out of most of the rest of the games, well then it's...
I think they'll be just taking one game at a time. The teams that are there, they don't get too far ahead of themselves. It's just one game at a time. Just keep ticking up the points, keep accumulating, and I just can't see them being beaten from here.
For sure. And just ahead of Southern Lakes then, Merewether United in 4th, getting a 3-1 win over 8th place Garden Suburb.
Yeah, it's a great win. After the Madawi, loss a couple of weeks ago.
Draw then with Curry as well,
which
the weekend prior.
A big result as well. So the form's been good. And like I said in that call and in the podcast after that, on another day, I think Merewether United get a result up against Madawi. I thought Madawi would be terrific up there. So their form lines are good, and it's a big result over Garden Suburbs. Although sitting in 8th, it was a danger game for Merewether United. And like not me, I haven't spoken about it, but there has been a rivalry between the two clubs. I sit on the fence there.
Fence City,
But that's a big result, and and in the context of the table, sits them in the 4th, and with a game in hand against Barnsley midweek. It gives that Merewether an opportunity to slip up to 3rd. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Suburbs as well. The 8th spot on the ladder probably doesn't reflect too well for them, as they do have a couple games in hand as well. But they would have definitely getting that 3 points over Merewether would have substantially helped them get tighter to that finals. But now maybe a little bit harder of a job.
The longer the season goes and the closer it gets to the point, and you've still got games in hand, it's tough. It becomes tough. You can keep saying, I got 3 games in hand, 2 games in hand, but that's not automatic points.
No.
You want the points on the board, and the sooner you can get them, the better. So, they've got a couple of games in hand. They're going to have to win them. They're going to need to win them, and they're going to need to win their games on the weekend. And
also games in hand, as you say, getting further and further along in the season, you've still got those games to play. You then got to consider burnout and having too much minutes in the legs. It's never a great thing.
They need to, I think where they're sitting and with games in hand, they need to win this weekend. I think that's their first. That's the important one this weekend, the game that's in front of them. And then if they do that, then they can look to midweek and see where they're at. But win the games on the weekend and then try and get something out of the midweek games, because they're not automatic wins.
No, exactly right. Just wanted to take a minute to thank all of our great sponsors of the Zone In podcast. We have Deploy Football, the leading developers and manufacturers of performance sporting solutions, not only just including our awesome balls, and also sportswear with all of our grassroots clubs in helping them design and produce amazing apparel. One of our other major sponsors, Solved Marketing. If you want your problems solved are the ones to go with. Helping businesses, brands solve complex challenges with ingenuity and creative solutions. Solved Marketing is our go-to agency for all of our marketing needs, and we cannot recommend them enough. And finally, Harry Schnitzel Joint. You guys know every week, Man of the Match is presented with the Harry Schnitzel Award. Definitely go check Harry Schnitzel out. And we know that all the Man of the Match recipients have been so excited to get their Harry Schnitzel Man of the Match Award and get down to Harry Schnitzel Joint. Looking now at one of the newer segments, becoming a fan favourite, I believe. The novice versus knowledge of tips. Looking back at the tips from CT and myself in last week's episode, the novice, got 4 out of 5 correct. I picked Curry, Merriweather, Warners Bay and Crabs, unfortunately going down on Suns there. And CT Knowledge just picking up the 2 correct there with Merriweather and the Crabs. So he was talking a big game, trying to say that he was going to carry the 2 of you here, but only getting 1 extra on you from the week prior.
I've put a bit of weight on, but he's not carrying me real well there. That's for sure. That's a very ordinary performance, I must say.
Yeah. So
the games the week that I did it were much tougher.
You believe so? Yeah.
He should have got a couple more of them. So I'll look like I'll see what I can do.
Alrighty, well, yeah, so total at the moment, myself 6 total and knowledge on 3. As we look into this weekend's games to review, on Saturday 2:30 we have Newcastle Olympic versus Croatia. Olympic sitting in 5th on 25 points and Croatia 1st on 38 points. This being played at Islington Park as well. Some people might be saying, why is this a match to look at? But with Olympics' recent form, not only just the Suns upset, but their games prior as well, my opinion would be that this might actually be a closer game than some would expect.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth looking at. I think it's huge in the fact that just the history of the 2 clubs. They've both been both have that. The Greek and the Croatian backgrounds. The players know each other. There's a lot of feeling between the 2 clubs, whether it be good and bad. So Croatia are just taking all before them, but it's a great result from Olympic, and what a way to let everyone know that you have to be taken seriously if you were to top off the Suns and Croatia in weeks week after week. So it's a tough one. I've got to play catch-up football after, Chris's poor showing last week.
My thoughts as well, both teams obviously have great attacking threats. We obviously seen it with Croatia, but Olympics also not to be forgotten. Croatia, out of their 15 games so far, only keeping 3 clean sheets, conceding 19 goals over that time. So I could definitely see Olympic getting at least 1 or 2 past them. I guess it just depends on how many Croatia can throw back at them.
Or if I could bet responsibly on over 2.5 goals, I would, but I don't know whether I can. I agree with you. Croatia are just dynamite in the front third. Both middle thirds are just powerful everywhere. But I think they'd be a little concerned with 19 goals in 15 games to be leading the competition. But if their motto is doesn't matter how many we concede and just how many we score and entertain, well, they're doing everything right. But they just got to make sure on the days they do concede, they score more, which is obvious. But
for sure,
that's at Islington Oval. Sephoris will have them ramped up. I'm gonna take the Greeks in an upset.
Well, okay,
it's very difficult for me to tip the Greeks, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, well, I think it's way too hard. As much as I want to see an upset, because upsets are great to see, and I do believe Olympic could have the capabilities of doing that.
Can we tip draws?
Yeah, we can tip a draw. Yeah, if you want to. But for me,
I love Olympic or draw. Can I have that? Or
no, you're not.
If you take Croatia, I should be able to take Olympic.
Okay, I'll give you that in this just circumstance. But I can't go past Croatia in this one.
I mean, they'll have to do everything right. Olympic, they're going to have to defend like their life depended on it. They're just so good in the front third, and they're going to have to take all their chances. And I think there's going to be goals in it. There's no doubt about that. I think Olympic.
Yeah, well,
or draw.
I'm also gonna throw a little extra in there. I reckon McGuinness for 2.
Yeah.
Seen him having
multi.
seen him having a little relaxing weekend away. So I reckon he'll be coming into this game pretty fresh. So yeah, better bang those 2
Where
in
was
for
he?
me.
Down in Melbourne, was he with his girlfriend?
Potentially, yeah. Moving on then.
The girls up here won't go out with him.
Looking then to ZFL 2 on Saturday, 2:30 kickoff as well. We have Cooks Hill versus Southern United. As we formerly mentioned, Southern United coming off that loss to Crowders Bay. Still in 4th on 26 points with a game in hand. But Cooks Hill just on their tail, 5th with 25 points and a game in hand.
This is an interesting one.
This one's a tight one.
Yeah, Southern United, 2 games away in a row after the late disappointment of going so close. Against the Crabs. Cooks Hill, they're just moving along nicely, aren't they?
Well, similar to what you mentioned about Charlestown, haven't been making too much ruckus really, but
just
they're
going
just
along unnoticed, aren't they?
climbing, and now they see themselves in 5th.
And a game in hand.
Yeah, only 1 point behind Southern as well.
Yeah, it's a big one. Like, these are tough games. They really are tough games.
Yeah.
Like I'd be contradicting myself if I don't go Southern United because I was so impressed with what they did. But 2 away games, I don't know whether their travelling fans will come down this week. Cooks Hill at Fernley Dawes Athletics. That's that field is in terrific shape.
It's definitely a tough one.
I'm going to go a draw.
I think
it'll be a tight one. I think it'll be 0-0 or 1-1.
I think I'm going to go Cooks Hill. I feel, as you say, 2 away games in a row, unless they've booked accommodation down here for the week and they're not going home, which I doubt, it'd probably take a bit of a toll physically, mentally, maybe in their own heads, licking their wounds after the Crabs game. So I feel like Cooks Hill ready to pounce on this one.
It really depends on how they see that result from the weekend and how they come back from that and how they train this week. Like you said, how mentally they can prepare themselves after that disappointment, because it would have hurt. There's no doubt about it. But it can go both ways. You can sink into a little hole, or you can take the good that come out of that game. If they take the good out, well, they could get the win. But
exactly right.
If their confidence is low because of the one that got away, then Cooks Hill will pounce on that.
Yeah, definitely probably out of this list, obviously the tightest game, but probably the most hardest to pick result there.
I think a draw. I think a low-scoring draw.
Yeah. Also in Zone 2, then we look at Minmai, 7th place, 23 points, coming up against newly 3rd place, 28 points, Bulwarra. We've had Bulwarra on the podcast quite early days. There was through a few words thrown around that they then gathered the podcast curse, because after that went on a bit of a slump streak, but obviously didn't affect them too much now, climbing back up to 3rd place. Minmai, a bit of a turbulent season themselves as well, having that bit of a cup run maybe disturbed the start of their season, but sitting 7th, only 5 points behind 3rd place. That area of the table just shows 5 points the difference.
Definitely.
And 4 places.
3rd to 7th, and there's only 5 points there. So that just shows you this is a more even game than the 3rd and 7th allies to. So out
at Minmai Field as well.
There's no reason why Minmai can't win. They're accumulating points. Like you said, Bulwarra just slipped into 3rd last week. It's another tough one. Pick the hardest games. It's up at Minmai.
I'll throw mine out here. I'm going to hope that Dylan Abella, the Bulwarra's starman up top, is back from his holiday, which I believe he should be. I'm going to back Bulwarra here. Yeah,
well, I'm going to hope that he gets a flat tyre on the way to the game, and I'm going to go with Minmai.
Fair enough. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
as
it's a
I
tight
say,
one. It could be a draw as well.
The position doesn't reflect, I don't think.
No, that's just tight. Yeah, you can't get much tighter than that. When you consider if Minmay win the game, they're 2 points out of third, depending on other results. So it's a massive one for Minmay, and I think they've climbed the hill. Like you said, their start was tough, and they were really struggling for points early on, weren't they?
Yep.
So to get to 23 means they must have won a few on the trot. So this is a huge game. And if I was the coach, I'd be, we're in the home run here, so this one we've got to win.
For sure. Looking then to another ZFL 1 game, moving now to Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Third place Katara South on 26 points, coming up against 8th place Cardiff City, 19 points with a game in hand. This one, probably besides the Olympic Croatia one, the most different of positions. But as you've mentioned a couple times on the podcast, Cardiff can't be shouldn't be
taken lightly.
Yes,
Yeah.
we got the words out there eventually between us. But yeah, they should be taken seriously still, and maybe 8th place not flattering their actual game performances.
Yeah, 19 points. They need to get a wriggle on. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But again, this is a big 6-pointer, and the fact they've got a game in hand, if they can win this one and win the game in hand, they're a point behind.
Exactly.
Behind third. So, and we've been high in the praise for Katara South. So, they've been a little bit rocks and diamonds as well. So, you don't know what you're going to get from either of these teams, because when Cardiff's on, you got your Alex Reid, and he's still a very, very good footballer.
Yeah,
especially at this level.
Wes Price knocking off with him as well. They're working well together.
Goals, and so there's no reason why there can't be an upset there. It's just down the road from each other, really. Cardiff, Katara might be a pretty good crowd. Both have good fans. So
Nesbitt Park always brings in.
It is, yeah. It's always a nice little afternoon amongst all the trees down there. I'm going to go for an upset. I need to, Cardiff.
Cardiff.
And it's not just an upset. I think on their day they can beat anyone. So.
Oh, definitely. And as you say, Katara having those rocks and diamonds moments. But considering their last result, just getting pipped 1-0 against Croatia, I think they're going to use that as motivation and push to really put it on Cardiff in this game. Well,
it shows that that's a. When you look at that result and you consider the goals that Croatia are scoring, that's a pretty good effort. Keep them to 1-0. And I would assume that game was in the balance right to the death. So.
Well, yeah, rumour, it was out at Spears Point Synthetics, and rumour has that Katara should have or could have almost won that game. Yeah. So definitely shows
on their best form as well. They could beat anyone, any of the top 2 or 3 sides, or they're in the top 3 themselves. But this is 2 teams that on their day can really light it up and a really good class of football. But when they're off, anything can happen. So it could, teeter into a poor draw, or it could be a high scorer. But I don't know. I just feel like Cardiff are going to be desperate. They've got to be desperate. They need to get things rolling now. And I'm expecting them to turn up and roll the sleeves up.
Yep, well, we will see. And finally, Sunday 2:30 as well, Southern Lakes in ZFL 3, currently 5th place on 19 points, coming up against Barnsley, 9th place, 14 points with a game in hand. That game in hand, as of recording this, is tomorrow night, as we said, against Merriweather. Yep. So that could change those stats there. But again, between 5th and 9th, only 5 points, with Barnsley having that game in hand. If they do beat Merriweather, they are only 2 points behind Southern going into this game. Then.
Exactly. And it reads there that 5th to 9th, it's a huge difference. But like you said, if they get this result against Merriweather, who are flying pretty high, so it's going to be difficult. But Barnsley, they started the season it really depends on the result midweek. I think if Barnsley will get a result, I think they double it up. But I'm going to back that they're going to get something out of the midweek game, and I'm going to go Barnsley in an upset.
Well, just out of spite, I'm going to go Southern because I personally can't let that happen tomorrow night. But yeah, I still definitely I wouldn't count Barnsley out, even being in ninth, no matter the result against Merewether or Southern. I still think with the amount of games left in the season,
I think
they're not going down without a fight.
They're definitely not out of the semi-final hunt at all. You only have to string a few together, and you're well in any of the three leagues. That's prevalent. Yeah, I think I'm going to come back. I think there's going to be a massive turnaround. There's a few upsets in there. So
well, don't count your chickens too early because we do round out the tipping with this week's match of the round.
It's a ripper, isn't it?
Which sees Curry versus Greeter, first versus second in Zone League 3. As I said, Curry second place, 31 points. Greeter first place, 37. This is Saturday, 2 o'clock kickoff at Birrelly Oval at Curry. Obviously a 6-point difference between the first and second there. As I said before, Greeter with that comfortable cushion. But if Curry pip them here, that brings it back to only a 3-point buffer, which is one game.
Yeah, this is huge. I'd love to be at this game, but I'll be on a plane to Denmark, so I won't be able to get up to Curry. But this is the one that I was hoping to get to. This is a ripper, this game.
Yeah.
Like I said, if they win, they're only 3 points behind. I'm assuming fairly confidently that Greeta's probably got a better goal difference. But, if they can, it's a big game. If Curry want to win the league, they've got to win this one. I think they've got to go out, all guns blazing. They've got to give it a real shot.
At home as well, with that advantage.
Yeah, hopefully, it's a derby, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
In a sense. So they need to throw everything at Greeter. And if Greeter go into the game, with any illusion that this one is in the bag, then I think they'll get done. I think this, if we're going to have a competition where it's still open, Curry need to win this one, so I'm going to tip Curry.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a fence sitter here, and I reckon there's a draw in this one. I think an entertaining one at the very least. I definitely think we've had some great Zone League 3 games shown on Match of the Round so far, but I think this one will be the pinnacle.
I think this is the big one.
This will be a great display of what the league
second,
is.
Up in the coalfields, up there, Sadayava. It's a ripper. It's a big one. Get yourself out there. Obviously Bar TV will be live streaming. This is the one to get out to. This is going to be a ripper, and I think Curry might get the chocolates. Yeah, well,
to spotlight a player that I've been keeping an eye on personally, but it's not hard to showcase him as he is leading the best and fairest for Zone League 3. Curry's, I'd say, puppeteer in the middle of the park, Joel Page. Definitely, for you guys watching Bar TV, keep an eye out for him. He is probably the more recognisable of the Curry players. Clean shaved head with some head tattoos, so you can definitely pick him out, but you'll be able to see just from his football as well why he's up there in the best and fairest.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the most important part of the football, but it sounds like he's an imposing figure as well, and if he's in the midfield and he's got that look about him, that's imposing, of course, but obviously he's, like you said, he's pulling the strings in midfield, he's making things happen, and he'll be up for this one. He'll want to showcase what he's doing, especially with Bar TV there as well. But the most important thing is to stay in contact with Greeter, and if they win this one, there it just puts that little bit of pressure on Greeter moving into the last section of the competition.
Yeah, for sure. And also, of course, as every week, you got to be thinking about the Harry Snitzel man of the match in the back of your mind when you're out there putting a performance on. Yes, you want to try get that 3 points for the team and the club, but
I think if you've got head tattoos, you love Snitzel. So,
maybe.
I won't be there, Joel, to for you to comment on that. Thank goodness. But, I personally wouldn't be able to get a head tattoo, I think it would hurt like hell.
Yep. So
yeah.
definitely, and I'm expecting, as you say, almost a derby close by clubs there. I'm expecting a bit of fire. Not endorsing anything silly, but definitely there'll be a bit of grit in this game for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a big one. It'd be love to get out there and support the game and support Curry's efforts into closing the gap. But if you can't, get it, flip yourself onto Bar TV on the live stream, and
that's it. Definitely, go up to the Hunter Valley. Maybe make a day of it on Saturday. Go to the vineyards before or after. Call in to Birrelly Oval. Watch
Don't
the
drink
game.
and drive.
Of course not. No. On a wine tour or something. Get the bus to drop you off at the footy. But otherwise, if you can't make it, Saturday 2 p.m. kickoff, Bar TV, match of the round. Jump on and watch that one.
No, it's going to be a ripper.
Yep, for sure. Well, that's been us for this episode of the Zone In podcast. For now, we'll see you next week. Cheers.
This is the Zone Football League.